Howdy, fuckheads. You ever had those thoughts where you want to go to a government facility and then steal some very classified documents? Yeah. A few days ago, I went on and went to the Pentagon and stole some very important files. I think it's best for me to not really show this, even though I've committed a very petty crime. The crime is actually not that big of a deal, but hey. I'm trying to sell this document for like $200, $500, somewhere around there. So if anyone wants to buy this, go ahead. I have some here. They're very interesting, but I'm not going to show you what it is until you come and buy it. Alright, good. Anyway, welcome back to Dying Light 2 video, another one. We're continuing with the skill tree ranking, and like I said, I'm ranking them based on how fun they are, how interesting they are, and how effective they are. So, let's just get into it. I'm already fucking bored. Good grief. Sorry if I sound much more bored. The school has recently been fucking draining my energy to the point where I feel like a fucking lifeless husk just moving around. So, apologies if I sound very empty. So, let's go. The vault kick is the first ever skill you start off in the combat section. Well, I forgot to mention, we're talking about the combat skill tree. So that's not obvious. The vault kick is the first ever skill you get in Dying Light 2, and whenever you're jumping over a staggered enemy, or you're vaulting over a obstacle, you're able to follow up with a kick. The kick is not entirely effective, but it only stuns the enemies, for a little short duration. Air kick is just basically allows you to jump onto enemies' heads and land a power kick. So whenever you're jumping up and there's an enemy in front of you, you are able to perform a kick. This stuns the enemies as well, so it allows you to sort of mix and match and shit. Remember the enemy jump skill I mentioned in my last video? You can use this, you can mix enemy jump with the air kicking ability to allow you to hit another enemy that you want to get rid of effectively. And another thing is, the air kick instantly knocks the enemies on the ground, if it's a smaller enemy, but if it's a bigger enemy, it will just simply stagger them for a short duration. But a smaller enemy, like a basic human and a normal zombie, it will knock them on the ground. The vault power kick just basically adds more force to your kick, and just basically allows you to fucking literally beat the living shit out of them. Basically, you're able to charge your hit. You just have to hold mouse 1 to sort of charge up the attack. And once it's fully charged, you fucking break their teeth, and they're knocked onto the ground. The head stomp is a very effective skill that allows you to fucking bash their head against the pavement. You're basically using your fat ass feet to beat their head. It deals a lot of damage. On certain times it either insta-kills them, on certain times it will leave them to like 1 fucking health. It is very powerful. But the problem is you need to have vault power kick in order to have this. And the vault power kick is not entirely like really necessary, to say at least. The vault kick itself is already pretty solid. But if you want to stomp enemies' heads for a living, go for it. The drop kick, do I really need to say anything about drop kick? You just jump and fucking perform a powerful kick in the air. That's it. It deals lots of damage, and you're also able to hit multiple targets if they're like next to each other. And the funny thing is, if the enemy you kicked lands into another enemy, they will also take damage and fall flat on their asses. The dropkick is very effective, and it can also be used against enemies that are blocking your attack. And it also staggers like demolishers and goons, basically. So, if there's an enemy that's like blocking your attacks or is like coming towards you with a heavy, like a charged attack, you can use the dropkick to push them back, basically. The perfect dodge makes it so if you dodge a attack at the perfect timing, it will stun your enemy. If this will not work on bigger enemies like volatiles, demolishers, and goos, but it will only work for smaller enemies. And the grapple just basically allows you to grab your fucking enemy and toss them wherever you want. You will just basically push them away. Grapple Throw, as the name suggests, you grab them and you toss them wherever the fuck you want. Imagine grabbing a child, basically, and you toss them out the fucking window in a hospital, basically. If there's an annoying little child that's like screaming and isn't shutting the fuck up, you grab them and you toss them away. This is what the skill is. Power attack just basically makes it where you charge up a powerful attack, quote unquote, and it just basically deals slightly more damage. The amount of damage you do is not entirely great. Honestly, I'm actually surprised that this is even called a power attack, but it does like maybe 5% more damage than like a basic swing. The only good thing about this is if you hit an enemy that's like blocking it, it will stagger them. That's it. But the power attack will come in handy with the other skills. If you have power attack, with the Windmill skill, it allows you to sort of do a 360 spin and hit any enemies around you. You can use this with any weapon. One-handed weapons, swords, two-handed hammers, and fucking whatnot. So if you're surrounded by groups of enemies, you do a fucking spinny spin, and then you kill any enemy that's like fucking around you. The ground pound is also another powerful skill that allows you to, well, do a ground pound. But you have to be in the air. So, you know that skill where it allows you to jump off enemies' heads, the enemy jump? Well, this is where the ground pound comes in very handy. And the interesting thing is, it only does, like, enemies like they're like in front of you, they take damage and get staggered, if you're close to them, of course. But enemies that are like around you, like to your side or behind you, they only take small bits of damage and they get staggered as well. But if your weapon lands a hit on the enemy when you're ground pounding, and you hit the ground as well, you will deal double damage. Basically fucking literally just disintegrating them to the point where their face is literally unrecognizable. So if you hit an enemy with a ground pound, whether you hit them twice, you're able to literally delete them very effectively. And I'm not sure if this is just me, but for me it feels like two-handed weapons have a much bigger radius than one-handed weapons. Of course, if someone knows like how the system works, let me know. But for me it feels like two-handed weapons have a much more bigger radius than one-handed weapons, which would kind of make sense, basically. Perfect parry just allows you to sort of whenever you perform a perfect block, the staggering effect on the enemy lasts much more longer, and it also triggers a slow-mo effect. So if there's a specific combo you want to sort of, you know, perform, go ahead. Like, it gives you enough time to sort of look around and see what you want to do next. Blocking projectiles is an extremely effective mechanic because it allows you to block any that was a horrible voice crack. It basically allows you to block any sort of incoming projectiles, like knives, arrows, spits from volatiles and whatnot. This is very effective because archers are very fucking annoying. They're very fucking annoying. The deflect projectiles may seem good, but considering the fact that you're also dealing with like other enemies, it sort of makes it difficult for you to sort of pay attention to the arrows coming towards you, because you're focusing on the enemies that are trying to hit you with their weapon, but you're also focusing on the fucking archer. Don't grab this. But stay the fuck away from this. A blocking charge just basically allows you to, whenever you are... Wait, block charge? Wait, why is it called a block charge? Hold on. The block charge basically allows you to grab an enemy and push him to the ground, basically. You know, like those videos where you see someone like grab someone and like they like you just like hold on to them until they fall onto the ground. Basically, you're charging at them, but you're also holding on to them until they fall onto the ground. This is what it is. But you don't need to be blocking. You can use this at any time. And you can also use this in a way where if an enemy is blocking you, or if there's an enemy on a building you want to push off, use them as a cushion. But if you're in a very tall building, eventually Aiden will punch that fucking enemy, and then we'll let them go. Oh, you can also do this manually, where if you want to let go of the person you're holding on, you can just punch them and just let them go, allowing you to use your paraglider or your grappling hook, essentially. But you don't need to be blocking. I don't know why the game calls it a block charge, which is very fucking awkward. But let me remind you this. If you're using the block charge on the same enemy, they will grab you instead and headbutt you, and you have to like dodge it, basically. It's a quick time event, essentially. Stabbing just basically allows you to insta-kill an enemy with a knife. You know, like those the stealth kills where Aiden grabs and chokes them out. But if you have a throwing knife, whether it's a level 1 or a max level, you're able to stab them. But what's the difference? Basically, stabbing them just makes it so you kill them much more quicker, allowing you to continue on. Stabbing follow-up just allows you to throw a knife at an enemy to insta-kill them. It doesn't matter if your knife is a level 1, the throwing knife, of course I'm talking about, the stabbing follow-up automatically fucking kills them. Which is interesting. So if you're a sneaky little guy, you can... that was a horrible voice character. God fucking damn it, man. Whatever, let's just continue. The ledge takedown just basically allows you to grab an enemy and just pull them down, basically, from a ledge. Stay the fuck away from this. This is not good. Smash. That sounds very odd, out of context. But smash just basically allows you to sort of, when dropping onto an enemy, you're able to instantly kill them, but only if they are unaware. If an enemy haven't detected you and you perform a smash, basically smash is just basically air kick, but much more powerful. Instead of performing a air kick, you literally land on them and bash their head against the concrete floor, instantly killing them. Unless it's a heavy enemy, basically. This is really effective to get rid of a specific enemy you're like focusing on before you go into a fight. But make sure the enemy is not perfectly or is not aware of you. The enemy needs to spot you in order to prevent this kill from happening. Smash just basically allows you to perform a really high jump after doing a smash. So you can use like air attack or air kick, ground pound, and whatever. Precise aiming increases your aim with all ranged weapons. Basically, it makes it your aim is much more effective. Like your aim is much more effective with arrows, with bow and arrows and crossbows. Power shot basically makes it where whenever you're aiming down sights, whenever you're aiming on your crossbow or on your arrows, you deal bonus damage, and it also has a piercing effect. Serial shot just basically makes it where it allows you to shoot up to 3 arrows on like 3 different enemies. You have to aim at them in order to make this work. Parkour shot just makes it where whenever you're in the air and then you're holding mouse 1, you go into a slow-mo effect. This also works with throwing weapons, where if you have your throwing weapon out, the game slows down to allow you to perform a much more effective throw or whatnot. And that's pretty much it. A lot of these skills are like really fun and they add like more unique gameplay to it. And each of the skills, almost all the skills, are like very fun to use. Literally almost all of them. Sorry if the video feels a little bit rushed and like it's like it feels like I didn't really put a lot of time. It's because I'm feeling very burnt out at the moment. So I apologize if I sound very emotionless, to say at least. I'm very burnt out at the moment. Not because of YouTube, but like school is just putting a little bit too much pressure than I want to. And the fact that I'm also working on these videos under pressure just makes it a little bit worse. But does anyone care? No, nobody really fucking cares. And I don't really care about my well-being, so who even really cares at the moment? So, anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. I hope, at least. And I'll see you next time. Goodbye. If you excuse me, I'm going to go commit a very horrendous crime. Goodbye.